we do business opportunities. And with that, you know what I mean? We were built for commercial real estate, and we are virtual. We have no bricks and mortars, just like, how Blockbuster was disrupted with Netflix, how Airbnb changed the hotel industry. And definitely we were called the Amazon of real estate because we actually don't have any locations, but we do so much in commercial real estate transaction. And Stephanie, you are a franchise owner. Tell us, are we a franchise or what are we?
Absolutely not, Jim. We are one global company, which is wonderful because as eXp Commercial is built for commercial real estate, business brokering, mergers and acquisitions, we are able to collaborate all over this country with amazing talent over at eXp Realty. We always talk about how having this one brokerage enables all of us, which are owners, we're business partners here, we're shareholders of this company. And because we have eXp Commercial as this brokerage, we have this partnership with eXp Realty, the residential brokerage, but it amounted to over 8.2 billion in referral volumes just this past year alone, Jim, and we were just getting started.
And that's what's so exciting, Stephanie, when we were talking about this collaboration, and one thing that you're not a franchise, because that's when many of the brokers that we were talking to independents, to large groups, is that they felt siloed, they felt alone, they needed a larger collaboration. And most, even though you may be sometimes under a big flag, you still are individual within your local market. That's why most companies, they said individually owned and operated. We are one big company under EXPI. So it is very exciting that we're all working together and collaborating and sharing referrals and deals. And our platform, for the services we get, Steph, it is beyond anything that we've ever seen.
It's beyond anything. And, you and I both are on growth calls every single day. And when we speak to these brokers and agents across the country that are affiliated with the traditional commercial real estate brokerage, we find that they're in a territory that they can't leave. They have to stay in that lane that franchise has put them in. And they're also paying maximum fees. And we've heard everything from $59,000 a year to $250,000 a year. $480,000 a year one agent has paid to their brokerage last year. And the biggest one that I've heard, $4.8 million was the split that they paid into their brokerage. And that's why they're coming to us, because not only are we an 80-20 commission split, it's a $20,000 cap. You're not going to pay us more than $20,000 in your anniversary year. This is an agent-centric brokerage. We have utilized the $7 billion market cap company that eXp World Holdings is, so that Jim and I have gone out and negotiating, utilizing the best buying power to get these technologies that is needed, to get the data necessary, to get the valuation equipment necessary at $250 a month. Jim and I both had brokerages. We could never get the buying power down to that amount of money. And the day I rolled my brokerage onto eXp, I saved over $8,000 a month in technology fees alone for my agents. And I never gave them ownership, Jim.
Well, and this is the conversation we've always had, especially with the bigger producers. Well, you know what? When can I become a partner? When can I do this? When can I be involved? And I said, well, do you want the liability too? So, this is the thing that I was telling many of the friends that, and I always say I came from a little old school, and I'm really excited for our guest that's going to come up because he was my mentor and person I followed for many, many years. But this is the thing is we did it the old fashioned way. We said the way we earn equity and residual cash flow is we always said we needed to be a principal. We needed to own real estate. We needed to waste. But one thing is many of us who went through the 2009 Great Recession with this ownership has liability. And that's what I love, Stephanie, about this company. It's doing it smarter. It's a great platform where we can be equity owners, where we can get passive cash flow for doing the business we're doing. And people forget that. We are great attractors. We're great entrepreneurs and business owners. And because of that, the revenue share and the stocks that came over. Steph, tell your story about when you moved over and you made this decision instead of getting that one-time check. How much dividends and equity has eXp been paying you and rewarding you, and especially for your future, your children, and hopefully grandchildren?
Absolutely, Jim. And then, and I had that opportunity a little over almost 4 years ago, exactly today, is that, I had many offers for my company to be purchased. But again, that was a franchise wanting to purchase me. It was a brand. They wanted to keep me on board for 10 years to run it, but I was only going to get that one paycheck. And Jim, we've talked about this, I'm not going to marry somebody I didn't have time to date. And so I turned that down because I was shown the eXp model. And when I saw this model, it showed me how I could scale my business quicker. I could better the lives of all of my agents, but more importantly, I could earn equity doing what I've always done and revenue share without having that liability, getting rid of all of that overhead. And so I sit here today, 4 years later, and I'm so grateful because what I was offered for my company, I have twice as much in stock at eXp World Holdings. And the revenue share stream that we're able to accomplish here, you earn based on who you attract into the company, but you're not the liable broker. You don't have the responsibility. You're not the innovator at this point. But revenue share enables every single agent broker who comes on board to benefit, to collect those overrides as if you were that principal broker. And for this has made a lot of millionaires, Jim. Yep. There was over $124 million paid out in revenue share back to the agents at eXp Realty and eXp Commercial just this past year. And you wait and see when we report our earnings, in another couple months of how much more that is growing, because it keeps growing now that we're over 72,000 agents.
And I want to just add to that. So from what you were saying on the numbers, it's on a gross amount, not the net amount. And I know that there are models in residential and also commercial that gives you the net amount, where we know with net amount is like with the accountants, what number do you want, right? They could always put expenses in and there is no profits. And that really upset, a lot of my friends that became principals, joined other firms, and they didn't get any payout for bringing tremendous amount of gross commission into the company, but they didn't get any payout because it was a net amount, not the gross. So I always want to bring these nuances on, because when you really dig deep, and those that are here to listen, just to be open-minded and hearing what our platform is, it is amazing. And with all the technology tools, Steph, you and I were on, so many tech calls, tools, services, everyone's reaching out, and we know we're going to scale this up even bigger. But for the $250 with getting Build Out Elite, the premier packaging service, Reonomy, getting up there to do as much comparables and information and as you put, intelligence in the market now, and Agent Hub and rich data, and great job with AIR, with the commercial contract and Sky Slope, Steph. All these services are fantastic. And if you want to go over some of them like Crexy, there have been a ton of people asking what other tools do we have in our toolbox, and especially within rich data, if you want to go on that one, Steph.
Absolutely. And what we're doing, Jim is right. We're demoing products still to this day, because as things change in this industry, we want to have the best of the best. We've made sure to create these syndication partnerships so that our listings syndicate out to all of these, so that we've streamlined the process. Not only are we putting more money back into the agents' pockets, but you don't need a staff of people to work any of these tools. We've streamlined all of that. What we've done with Enriched Data is enabled every single agent at eXp Commercial to have access to over 155 million data records. This is everything you need to have valuation, to be able to do the market research, the capital markets. We have it to where you can look up occupants throughout the country. You can look up to see, who's purchased this hospital or hotel. Anything that you need access to, we have vetted the information before it goes in. So you're not wasting your time calling the wrong numbers. You're not wasting your time emailing wrong email addresses. Everything's been vetted. We are able to do a valuation anywhere in this country in literally 12 minutes. And Jim, when this spits out, it is not just your average broker price opinion. It is pretty much a full-blown MAI appraisal without the certification. But when you take that to your owners or to your potential sellers and your buyers, it streamlines the entire process. The underwriters love it. The lenders love it, because it allows us to get to that closing table a whole lot quicker.
Steph, and with all this information, what we're going to do, and I'm very excited to launch something new, is really the tax reassessments, because working with O'Connor's Associates, how we're working with Enriched Data with all the information, it is going to give many of our agents who we know during this time, properties have been affected at different rates, right? There are different product types, multifamily, retail, office, industrial, and everything got affected differently. And there's ways now to reach out to your clients talking about tax reassessments to just really help people engage. So we really love, a lot of the innovations that we are creating. And I love the tenant base because, it's not only just transactions, it's for those that are doing leasing, whether you're a landlord rep or you're a tenant rep. And Steph, I really love the partnership with Tenant Base and the creating as we're scaling and building with Tenant Base for these new opportunities in new markets. And can you tell people some of the success stories of some of the deals that some of our agents got in a way for free, and they just had to work with Tenant Base and they got almost a free deal, and there's many markets opening up with Tenant Base.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is a way for us to bring that pipeline lead generation into the commercial space because, residential's had all kinds of lead generation tools throughout the years, but in commercial, it hasn't really existed. And so we wanted to partner with Tenant Base because pretty much anywhere in the country, if you specialize or want to specialize in leasing or landlord rep, you can claim these territories and they're driving the lead traffic for leasing right to those. This is for office, retail, industrial, you name it, any type of leasing that exists. And so we have agents that are juniors coming into this business that are be able to get that fast start. We've had agents pipe onto this at Tenant Base and they've had transactions. They've collected a fee within 6 weeks or less. And, it's just helping people supercharge that pipeline so that they can get that fast start in commercial real estate and leasing. And Jim, you know what it's like to be in the world. People ask us all the time, well, how does this company that's global interact? Well, it's in our virtual office space. What? It's the metaverse that everybody's talking about that we've been used to operating in for, the last 5 years really with eXp and now the last year with eXp commercial. But we have had this slide says 50 plus hours of live training weekly. We're probably double that by now. We really are. We've got marketing, we've got all these product specialty meetings, but our symposium, how impressive was that?
And I love this stuff that we were always doing this from, when we first started as just a intro training into commercial real estate to a symposium. And now that we're doing it with speakers, not just from eXp, but outside, the best industry speakers from economists, technology, REO for commercial, just anything and everything that we see that is cutting edge. Basically, when we put these symposiums together, it's the questions that we can't answer. So we find experts out there that would like to speak in our metaverse to share. And as we bring people together, we also then have these breakout sessions. And I hope everyone shows up because, yes, last time we did give away a TV. And I think over 20 different prizes, awards from our sponsors and other like kinds, like certain memberships they gave away because they wanted to be in our world because we could attract last time over 10,000 people that registered and so many thousands in our world coming in. But you and I know with this in commercial real estate, it's not an easy gig. It is a program. And when everyone asks us, how can I get into commercial real estate? We always say, you better have a mentor. You better have somebody to help guide you through. And Steph, I love the program that you put together and with the great instructors and teachers. Tell everyone a little bit about the Accelerate program, but why you thought the Accelerate program was so important from your experience from the past.
Well, Jim, so many people know this, but for those that don't, when I got into real estate, I was right out of college, just graduated. It was 1999. I was a 21-year-old female, and every commercial brokerage I went to slammed the door in my face because they didn't have the resources nor the manpower to teach me anything. And so we've all fumbled through this business, but we always wanted to put together something to where we can change those numbers. There's no reason why 2 out of 100 getting into commercial real estate are all that is successful. So we put together the Accelerate program so that they can learn the basic fundamentals, so that they can know how to do valuations, even going back to cold calling, but so that we can set people up successfully. Being able to operate in that virtual world, we're back to these days now where it looks like things are getting canceled and postponed, but we don't ever cancel anything because it doesn't affect us. We still stay operating. And so we are able to train with great instructors for any new junior agent coming into this industry, no matter where they're located. They don't have to wait to sign up for a program. This is included because we want to see our junior agents get to collect that fee as quickly as possible. We've had over 72 graduates of our Accelerate program over the last quarter. We've seen 34 of them collect a fee. And then by the time our senior advisors are assigned these junior agents, they're not starting from scratch because the junior agent has a business plan. That's what the Accelerate program has taught them to do. So it's tremendous. And it's a way that we're going to scale and grow and breed new talent into this industry.
I love that, Stephanie, to give everyone an opportunity. And because we are a virtual firm, we can educate everyone everywhere. Before, you'd have to show up, go to a certain office and to be trained and learn this skill. But now we can train everyone in every major market, secondary market, tertiary, even international. But this is one thing that really changed my mind, as we were both owners of our brokerage firms. And I did pay for healthcare for my employees, right? Because I did have a property management firm. I did have finance. I did have a lot of businesses attached and my employees. And of course, you wanted to take care of your people, right? And I even tried to figure out, how do I take care of my brokers, right? Because you need to take care of them, because as I always said, health is wealth. And if you don't have it, you can't take care of it. And if you're so worried about your health and your condition, especially nowadays, you need to then, make these decisions of what are you going to pay for? Sometimes food, sometimes your car insurance, or your health care. And a lot of times, unfortunately, health care goes to the wayside. But with eXp's group healthcare, by being an agent, this time I always say pays for the admission of almost the $250, because the amount I heard that you can save is enough to pay the $250 a lot of times, depending on how old and how big your family is. And Steph, how big of a savings have you heard before from a family did they save coming over to the eXp healthcare system?
Over $12,000 a year on their family insurance. I mean, we've got agents that are saving over $300 a month. And here's one that's so great. One of our eXp commercial agents who has had this insurance for a little over a year, he went through COVID. He was in the hospital for close to 30 days on a breathing machine and then had to go home with oxygen. He came out of pocket, nothing. And, you read in the paper and you read all over the place where, COVID could break somebody if you don't have the right insurance, financially destroy. And so it's not only the monthly savings, but it's really good insurance. And it doesn't matter about those pre-existing conditions, because that was a big thing, that had to be. It didn't matter if you suffered from a heart attack last year. They will insure you. And so we encourage everybody to visit expagenthealthcare.com, even if you're not affiliated with us. Do it, get a quote, and see what that part is going to save you, because it's valuable, absolutely valuable. Jim, Workplace is just another way for all of our community of agents, both eXp Realty and eXp Commercial, to stay plugged into one another. And I get asked every day when I'm having these growth calls and, explaining, well, agents have been affiliated with realtors before, and they're like, but I never got any deals. And I said, well, with Workplace, it's where you can stay tuned in 24/7 all over the globe with wherever our agents are. We've seen deals, off-market deals, being able to be loaded onto Workplace, 137 million multifamily in Miami. This is off-market. Anybody have a buyer for it? In seconds, it's exposed to over 72,000 agents that are ready to make a deal, and it gets under contract in 12 minutes. We hear about these every day. It's like every 13 seconds, the cash register is ringing because of Workplace.
Stephan, I really love it. And I tell a lot of new people that come into this industry that may be a little old school, that you got to use Workplace. You got to spend some time, just like how you cultivate your leads, how you build your farm area, how you work the system. It's just another tool you can work and spend time, in the morning, in the evening, and just monitor. And I even said to some people who are more senior brokers and teams, is to hire a virtual assistant or get one of your junior to monitor Workplace as you do cold calling and other business development, so you can get better at finding leads and referrals. And this is the best thing, because of our low cost, we do collaborate a lot. We do pass referrals and leads to each other and share, because everyone's pretty much capping. A lot of the people I know that I brought over, and the more senior brokers, they cap on their first deal, and they're sharing and working with the other people because they can. And that's the hardest thing with the other larger companies, you got to double end everything where you don't need to do this here. And there's a lot more collaboration and really helping the junior brokers have some type of deal and momentum to get them excited to get a paycheck so they can work the deal. And I'm excited, but I am really excited, Steph, with the brand marketing. Finally, with all the logos and everything else for eXp commercial that we sent out. Can you tell them how much is in our brand store?
Look, all of us that are not creative need help with having, great publications, great looks, social media posts, ways to market to clients, ways to, market our properties and listings and so forth. And that's what the Marketing Center is all about. It's a way for you to plug and play and instantly have something professional that is created in seconds. This streamlines that entire process. I talk to a lot of people that are at an office with a marketing person inside that office, and they rely on that marketing person. But here at eXp Commercial, we have an entire marketing center that if you know how to upload a photo, you're done. That's all you've got to do. And you have all access to everything from proposals, offering memorandums, business cards, social media posts, you name it, it's all built. And our marketing people are the best because they're constantly adding to this every single week. Jim, we've got a lot of upcoming events that are happening. I'm so glad that it's 2022 and we get to start over and scale and keep building onto this. But our national meeting, it's going to be next Friday. And, we had to take a break through December with all those other events, but it's going to be tremendous.
Well, and we love it because we love to kind of get our recap, putting all this information so we can really take this year to share our accomplishments for 2021 and what are we working for each quarter for 2022. And we are working on a lot of exciting things. And, yes, Omicron's out there, so we hope everyone is staying safe. But we have planned so many national events, regional events, local events, getting our local leaders to be involved now that we have many more commercial brokers. We have many more commercial agents in Realty that are doing some deals that need mentorship training and getting together, and other commercial brokers and other agents interested about what eXp Commercial is about. So we could put local events so people can get to know the local commercial brokers, share deals, do broker forums. But we are, like I said, Steph, what we're doing is changing the way commercial real estate's done, changing the way commercial real estate looks, and creating opportunities because we love serving and we have a servant heart, serving and helping our local communities. And by getting everyone together, I always say with commercial real estate, pound for pound, we do a lot of good. We could do a lot of things. So getting us all together can make and change this world. And it is that friendship, relationship building. But I am excited with the webinars that we're going to do virtually, the symposium. And Steph, give everyone a little teaser on our next symposium coming up, and I'll talk a little bit about that.
Well, Jim, having a chief economist really show us the ropes. I share this story because it's so valuable. But when you find someone in this industry to truly listen to, and he can put the path in front of you, and then our agents hear it, and then they go do it. We've got agents now with 21 listings in a certain area of the United States because of having this chief economist. And so our keynote speakers are all about that. It's adding value. And that's why we open up our commercial real estate symposiums to everyone in commercial real estate because they're held virtually and we want everyone to have this exposure. But that is what our symposium is about, and to have in the relationships with the CCIMs and all the different product specialty types that we have to offer, but also sharing, what is the big why in CRE with the digital space. We've had, what are we going to do with the great resignation, right? With having Upflex and Verbella and different ways to solve the office issue that's out there. So it's tremendous, but this April symposium is going to be epic, and we'll have more, to announce on our keynote speakers coming up.
And I am very proud and excited to introduce our very special guest, a very dear friend, a mentor of mine, somebody that I would bounce, I guess, I don't know how long, but Fred Schmidt, and I was so excited that he was willing and being honored with such a busy schedule. And instead of watching grandkids and retired and other fun things, he is still, loves the business so much. He has so much knowledge to give, so I without further ado, I'd love to introduce, Fred Schmidt, a mentor of mine, a dear friend, and a wealth of knowledge. He's my Google of real estate and answering all my questions. So Fred, welcome and thank you for being here as one of our, corporate advisors to let us and steer us through the way, because you have a lot of knowledge. So if you don't mind sharing and talking about yourself and giving your journey experience, and we can go from there.
Sure. Thank you, Jim and Stephanie. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. And I don't know if you guys can see me or not. I'm told when I'm talking, my thing comes up, so I apologize for that. You referred to me a couple times as old school here, Jim. So, I don't think I'm that old school, but I think it is. You bring up a great point, and that is we are experiencing as a society, but also in our industry and everything, a huge existential change. And part of the reasons that I'm supporting eXp and supporting you, number one, is our relationship and the character and quality you bring to the table. So that's the number one element. But when I looked under the hood at eXp and saw what's going on outside in the marketplace, and then what are the changes that are coming based on my knowledge of the industry, I saw this as a platform that I think is addressing the changes that were coming. The timing is very good with regard to what's going on out there. So I'll open up with that. About myself, I'm in the business 41 years, so I am an old timer in the business. Started in 1980. My first 20 years were with CB Richard Ellis. Was an industrial agent, then ran 3 different offices for CBRE, then moved back into the cubes and became a tenant rep office broker, which evolved very quickly into what we call corporate services, which is multi-market representation of occupiers, and really have done that ever since in some way, shape, or form. Did that for a bunch of years, went to a small boutique firm, which we sold to Johnson Controls. So I had the global operating full service brokerage boutique firm. And then when we sold that to Johnson Controls, was recruited by a former client of mine at Prudential Insurance who was over at Realty, or Sendent actually, which owned Realty, didn't know what Realty was, and ended up being in charge of business development for the Sendent family of companies, which is a $20 billion conglomerate. And inside of that was Coldwell Banker Commercial, and Coldwell Banker did business development and corporate services for the Coldwell Banker Commercial Network, became the president of Coldwell Banker Commercial in 2010. That's where you and I met, Jim, and your ARIA experience and everything, and ran Coldwell Banker Commercial for 8 years. And then retired. I took a retirement package when I was 63 years old from Realty, and then moved on back into the consulting business. And so I have two or three businesses actually. One is this RV3 Solutions, which is corporate real estate services, which is part of eXp through me, and site selection work and all that. That's the tactical work. And then have another consulting business that's really, it ties in with this, is consulting local, independently owned and operated commercial real estate services businesses on mergers and acquisitions, succession plans, valuations of their businesses. So it's in that vertical. So that's my background. And, basically I've been involved in the commercial real estate services on a local, regional, national, and global basis for the last 40 years.
And Fred, one of the early on times, probably on a Zoom when we met and Jim introduced us, one of the things, and I'll never forget this, and this is when I knew I liked you and hoped and that we would always get you on board at eXp Commercial, because even though Jim called you old school, I said, he's not old school, he's new school, because you said, and I don't know if you'll remember this, but you said, the commercial industry has stayed stagnant for so long, but as far as brokerage goes, but when you look at commercial real estate as an industry, there's been a lot of changes, and we need to be agents of change and change with it. But there's been so much stagnant when it came to those brokerages. And I just want you to, go on that a little bit and share, exactly what you mean by that. Because, 41 years in this industry, you've seen a lot.
Sure. I view change as opportunity in our business. I'd say for everyone, whether it's good or bad, I might add, okay? And I will tell you, in my career, I made more money during the S&L crisis, which was 1989, 90, 91, and then the financial crisis in 2007 and 8, or then. So in terms of solving problems for clients, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be in that kind of crisis looking forward, but there's definitely stuff going on here, and the good vibe, bad vibe, I don't know what it is, but we're seeing upward pressure on interest rates. So looking forward, there's going to be challenges to clients. And if you look at it the right way with a positive attitude and all those things, it's important. Going to our industry, and to your point about changes, up to my point about change, but also what you're saying, Stephanie, if the market's changing, your clients are changing, technologies are changing, what are you doing to change? Okay, because things are happening around you. It's a dynamic world that we're going through. This change, it's an existential one. We are through a change over the last, we still don't know the ramifications of it, but the fact that we're all sitting here on a call, looking at each other, talking to each other. I just did I missed our leadership call yesterday, had a major presentation with a client through Zoom, had to, and fortunately, I'm used to dealing in this medium over my career, but had to, learning how to pitch the business, not being in the room with the client, but doing it virtually, how to address them. You have about half the time to speak. All those things you need to learn very quickly because you're not in a boardroom. So I would say this, and this is one of the advantages eXp has. eXp on the Realty side, the residential side, and this is from my experience at Realty also, I would say that the residential groups and their B2C, business to consumer, they're about 5 to 10 years ahead of the commercial side of the business in terms of technology and technology adoption. Now it's catching up quickly, but generally speaking, residential has led the way. Now us commercial practitioners don't like to admit to that, but that's a fact. And I've saw it firsthand. I'm seeing it here and saw it in my prior job. So that B2C model leads the way in that. So it's adopting to the utilization of these tools and resources and the cloud-based platform and working through that. So.
And Fred, I loved when I first kind of told you I was coming over here, kind of got your advice. And so what do you see, now that you're kind of digging deeper, seeing what we've done year one, kind of read the tea leaves, because I know you've consulted, you've talked, you've learned, listened, and you ran probably the largest company that would be as similar to us as possible. So kind of what do you see from what we're doing, what we talk about for 2022, and then really the possibilities and the advice that you've given me for so many years?
I think for as it pertains to eXp, and this is more for the Realty folks, the folks that are residential and commercial that are looking. I think the secret to success from my life, from what I've seen, is focus, is having an area, having a niche, having a specialty, and learning the business from the inside out. And so the one thing you need to be careful of, if you're on a residential team or it doesn't really matter, but staying focused and staying in your lane. If you're trying to be everything to everyone, that is generally not a recipe for success. So now, having said that, I've evolved as a person. I started as an industrial broker, became an office broker doing multi-market, consulting, a lot of other things. So you do grow into a lot of other areas that generate revenue. But when you're starting out and going, you need to be very focused on your area and where you're going to work. And I think that's a key thing in terms of that. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways I have with eXp. I think the other thing is it's amazing that Verbella, talk about being, and going on. I remember I got up to speak. There were like 500 people in the room, and I was my avatar and getting up on a stick because I didn't realize I was standing right in front of Jim the whole time I was speaking. But you had and I didn't want to move around the stage. So I didn't want to bump into anybody. So, but I think that was pretty cool, and actually to a point now where I think I really enjoy it. But that's such a unique experience in dealing with that volume of people and everything else. So it's the human interactions with that virtual world and how to toggle back and forth. And I'm learning from that. I think it's very, very open to it. When I heard of Stephanie, you referred to the metaverse and everything. When I heard about Facebook, like changing their name and everything, I said, oh yeah, I get that. I know what that is. So it was very enlightening to me and everything. So I'm learning. You're never too old to learn and to adapt and to use things. So that's the key thing is not, and I'm saying this to my pure play commercial folks, like you get stuck in a rut, you get into a routine, then a rut, and then the next step is a grave. So you got to get out of your rut, right? So in doing that. But again, look at what we're doing right now. You have to be able to sell through this medium. You have no choice, what's going on. I will also tell you guys, and you don't know this, but right before the holidays, I had a consulting assignment for a client here in New Jersey. I reside in suburban New York, New Jersey area. And it's a major warehouse, 290,000, a major headquarters, 290,000 square foot headquarters. They had a client that is good. They had it on the market to sublet. So they asked me to do a very quick market study of their immediate market area, which was a 1 mile radius. Now, this is somewhat scary. This is in the office sector. There were 13 Class A buildings within a 1 mile radius that had a 40% vacancy rate. Now, I used Reonomy as one of the sources, okay, and I went on and used the Reonomy tool to help me in terms of ferreting out these. I used CoStar and Reonomy were the two that I used. So the point being, I used one of the tools that we have and use that in part of this study. The other part of this, getting into the office sector, was 40% of the available, it was 1.3 million square feet available. 40% of that was sublet space, which is that's through the tenants coming on the market. And these are all Class A buildings. So the idea of work from anywhere and work from home, it's the first time I saw a true mathematical proof of that trend, where companies are bailing out of their space. It's not going to be universal. It's not going to be 100% that direction, but there's definitely a major change going on. I think this next iteration of COVID has really kind of made that more permanent than we're realizing.
Absolutely. And, Fred, you come from, a massive company, that's been around a long time where you were in charge of the entire commercial division, but it was a franchise model. So there was only so much you could get into. Knowing that for as long as you knew it, and now being with eXp Commercial, and we are this one global brokerage. Can you just speak to the differences of the connectivity and the community that we have inside, and how we're all able to come together and truly do business with one another?
I think because of the virtual world, you have to be in it and active in it and participating, and you have no choice to reach out to people. I think in any network, okay, whether it was my alma maters where I came from or anything else, you need to market yourself to other people. As much as you're selling to your clients, you're selling to your fellow agents that are out there that understand your capabilities and resources. And I think a lot of agents forget that. So you're in a global enterprise. And it kind of counter to what I said earlier. We're staying focused, knowing your market, knowing you're staying in your lane and everything is very important. But you need to look up a little. Like we call it ask the question, right? You need to ask the question, what's the opportunity over there? How do they know about me? And so you need to be able to market yourself. And eXp gives you that, and I'm using bad analogy like a pipe. It gives you the pipe, and then you have the content moving through the pipe. So you need to use those different avenues to get to other people, to refer business, to get back and forth. But you need to put yourself out there too then. Okay, so that's the thing. From an individual perspective, if everybody's sitting there with catcher's mitts waiting for stuff to come in, no one's going to be sending any business out there. So you have an obligation in participating in this group in eXp to go out there and conduct business, send business, and seek out opportunities with other people also.
And Fred, as I've always been telling you, we knew how and what the brokerage industry was going through, right, on the transactional piece. But then we kept on talking about the ancillary services, right? This is the thing, right? Knowing all the models and many of the successes of the large firms, the corporate ones versus the franchises, and this is the balance besides the big one of the residential and the commercial. But talk about, the ancillary services, because I know you know how this could possibly fit in, and the valuation and the possibilities of what it does, because as we all know in the brokerage industry, commission compression, right? Residential is really going through a commercial. We used to always get 6% back in the day. We don't get 6% always like we used to. So can you tell us of why this is so important with the platform, with the brokers, and then the services that we need to really be a full service company?
Well, and I guess I can categorize myself in one way as an ancillary service, in terms of what I do. We're in corporate services, multi-market representation of tenants and occupiers of space on a national and global basis, okay? The team I'm with specializes in manufacturing. We're seeing a lot of onshoring because of the global supply chain, what's going on there. So onshoring in North America, biotech, biopharma, and then office. But to your point, so in my vertical, like my background's office tenant rep. Okay, that's where I made my living and made that money. What I was just talking about, though, you're not going to see a lot of office deals, or you're seeing smaller square footages per deals and just getting it very specific, and or clients are not renewing, or they're reducing their square footage, or both, and shortening their lease terms. So consequently, the revenue off of that side of the business is not going to be that great. So you need to be able to understand how to set up a consulting practice and to get revenue, monthly revenue, and price yourself along those lines. In addition to that, the other ancillary services, capital markets, which I know you're setting up lending practices and equity and all that type of thing, the valuations, okay, and then I would not say this lightly, but it's the one we haven't thought about, and maybe you guys have, is you were talking about this data, okay, and the enriched data and the data universe. In this century, data is wealth, okay, like oil was to the last century. That's what this is. So having a computer data warehouse, okay, for the company. Now, arguably, it's in the early stages, and you go through all the things. So having the data aggregated in one spot is that. Then the analytics on the data is the next step down the road. But having that data, I think, is a big wealth creation vehicle, and tapping into that also, which is not something I think you guys expected me to say to you right here in this, but it is there, and it's a big opportunity also.
And you're absolutely right, Fred, because, here, we're all shareholders of this company, and it's not just a brokerage, and it's not just for Bella, and it's not just realty and commercial. It's now data, which, to have all those records and to keep them updated at 10 million records a week, people are saying, well, how do you all do that? Well, we've got 42 different sources going into that data so that it's right. And we've got an offshore team vetting it so that we make sure that it's right. So it's tremendous. Jim, I'm so glad that Fred, you introduced us to Fred, and Fred, after all your career, you found this as a place that, you were ready to jump on board and be an advisor to all of us, really. I mean, you're a tremendous, tremendous asset to this company, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you, Steph.
Oh, sorry, Fred, final words and for 2022 predictions. We always like to do that, kind of putting yourself out there for kind of this prediction for this year, for 2022.
I think, and this in commercial,
I think he got booted off, or maybe he's jumping back on right now. No, but Steph, I'm just so excited with Fred and the other leaders that we have. And, you and I are really excited because we're going to finally market and let people know what type of commercial brokers, leaders, advisors do we have over here at our firm, and also the different services, the different accolades. I mean, it is exciting that many people are always telling us, who's there? Who's with you guys? Yes, you have over 500 commercial agents, but who's there?
Well, and that's the thing, Jim. I mean, it's 500 of a diverse group. It's not all of one. It's not the, average. And there he is, Fred. Last words.
I apologize. I don't know what happened. I just timed out or something. So, but anyway, I was giving you these profound thoughts, whatever. You're asking me predictions for this year. And as I was saying, it really is breaking down to the 4 or 5 major product lines. So there isn't one prediction. Office, and nothing new. We just talked about this a little bit. The office space is going through a major change in terms of work from anywhere, work from home, and that adaptability. When it all shakes out, my prediction is, you're hearing all sorts of things like it's going to be 60% occupancy, 70%. I think when it all shakes out, it'll probably be about a 20 to 25% reduction in the overall work week. Like, people will work 3 to 4 days at work, or 2 to 3 days at home in one day. So it'll be about 20 to 25% reduction. That's still a huge number and a major impact on that product area. And if this COVID type thing keeps going on, that percentage could go up. But I think when it all is said and done, but the work from anywhere, that toothpaste is out of the tube. Work from anywhere, work every day. That's a given. That's a given now. Okay, and I think that's the big reset you're hearing, the big resign. some of that is manifesting itself in that regard. The retail sector, same thing. The B and C malls are, and again, I think the COVID accelerated the transition in the B and C. We were overstored in the United States in retail, so we're seeing a repurposing and realignment with retail. So there's challenges there in that regard. But also, people are going to want to go out and shop and have experiential real estate. The omni-channel approach to getting your products and goods, so you go into the store and pick them up, or the last mile delivery, which ties in with industrial, which is e-commerce, onshoring, manufacturing. We're seeing tremendous growth in industrial. As much as retail has been hurt, industrial has been growing, so they correlate with each other. And then multifamily and investments. I do think, I've been predicting for the last 10 years that we're going to have upward pressure on cap rates because of interest rates. Maybe this is the year because interest rates, the short-term T-bill, the 10-year T-bill is going up. So I would say to everyone, as you guys know, just pay attention to that 10-year T-bill. That's going to tell you which way real estate values are going. So I think we're going to go through a year of transition, but it may not be as bad or as everybody thinks. And a lot of that depends on inflation. Now, having said that, commercial real estate and real estate in general is an inflation hedge. So we're not in a bad spot to be. If inflation, God forbid, kicks up in a big way, this is the place to be. So point being, news at 11, a lot of change going. It's going to keep coming, and be ready for these changes. So.
Fred, thank you so much for all these years, friendships, mentorships, and here now advising our company, with everything. So I look forward to the 2022 with you involved. And again, I just want to wish everyone Happy New Year, but really follow us on YouTube, like us on LinkedIn and Facebook to see more and more, especially our commercial symposium and our live events, because we will be putting a calendar event, a new website where we will have all this information on all the events, information, content, right? We want to build the go-to place for commercial real estate, and we're the go-to place for opportunities for anyone that is interested in commercial real estate and wants to grow. So kind of that open platform of working together, because we know by working together, we can make a difference, change this world, make some good things happen. And so I am really excited for 2022. So again, Fred, thank you so much. Stephanie Gillison, thank you so much again. And everyone, Happy New Year. Have a healthy and safe and prosperous year. And we will see you around in the virtual metaverse and some live events very soon.